It is March 24th, 1944, late at night, below freezing. 76 men are about to crawl through a tunnel barely wide enough to breathe in, 30 feet beneath the frozen ground of a Nazi prison camp, in total darkness, one by one. They have been planning this for over a year. This is not the movie. There is no motorcycle chase, no Hollywood heroics. The real story is something far more terrifying, far more brilliant, and far more devastating than anything they put on screen. Stalag Luft III was purpose-built to be escape-proof. The Nazis were proud of it. The sandy ground made tunneling nearly impossible. Microphones were buried around the perimeter to pick up vibrations. Guards they called ferrets crawled under the barracks daily looking for hidden digging. Watchtowers swept the yard with searchlights every few seconds. The Germans genuinely believed no one was getting out. They were wrong. Inside the camp, a British squadron leader named Roger Bushell made a decision. Not one tunnel, three, all running simultaneously, codenamed Tom, Dick, and Harry. The logic was brutal and simple. If the Germans found one, the men would already be deep into the other two. What followed was not just a prison break, it was an industrial operation disguised as captivity. 600 men from Britain, Canada, Poland, Norway, the Netherlands, and a dozen other nations worked together inside that camp. They called themselves the X Organization, and they built something extraordinary. The tunnel called Harry ran 102 meters long, 30 feet underground, deep enough that the Nazi microphones went silent. They shored up the walls using timber stripped from nearly 90 double beds. They wired in electric lighting using wires stolen from the camp's own system. They built an underground railway, actual trolleys on wooden tracks, to move dirt and men through the tunnel. They built air pumps from hockey sticks and kit bags to push fresh air through hundreds of feet of tunnel so the men crawling through it wouldn't suffocate. And then there was the sand. Every foot of tunnel they dug produced dirt that had to disappear. Yellow tunnel sand in a camp with gray surface ground was an instant giveaway. So they invented the penguins. Men who wore specially sewn bags hidden inside their trousers, connected to strings in their pockets. They walked casually around the exercise yard, pulled the strings and let yellow sand trickle silently from their trouser legs into the surface dirt. Thousands of pounds of sand. Just gone. The rest was hidden under theater seats, buried in gardens, scattered wherever it could disappear. While they dug, others forged. The X Organization ran a forgery department that produced fake identity papers, travel documents, military passes, train timetables, and even German money. They used a camera smuggled into the camp, official stamps they had stolen or replicated, and even photographs taken with a camera they had bribed a guard to lend them. Tailors converted military uniforms into convincing civilian clothes by hand. Mapmakers drew maps of Nazi-controlled Europe entirely from memory. There was no fighting, no shootout, no battle. This was quiet courage and impossible ingenuity against one of the most watched prison camps in the world. By March 1944, Harry was ready. On the night of March 24th, everything started going wrong immediately. The trap door at the tunnel entrance was frozen solid. It took over an hour just to open it. Then when the first man climbed out at the far end, the tunnel exit had come up short. Instead of breaking ground inside the tree line, it surfaced in open, snow-covered ground, fully exposed and visible to the guard tower above. Every man who climbed out had to sprint across open ground in the freezing dark, throw himself flat in the snow, and wait motionless for the searchlight to pass before the next man could move. It was supposed to be fast. It became agonizingly slow. Then the air raid sirens hit. The whole region blacked out. The underground railway stopped dead. Men crawled through over 300 feet of tunnel in absolute darkness, dragging themselves forward by rope, barely able to breathe, not knowing if the man ahead of them had made it out or collapsed. When the 77th man climbed toward the exit just before 5 in the morning, a guard spotted the hole in the ground. The alarm went up. 76 men had made it into the frozen German night. 200 had waited for a tunnel that ran out of time. The 76 scattered across Nazi-controlled Europe, forged papers in hand, civilian clothes on their backs, heading for train stations, border crossings, hiding places. alone in a foreign country in the middle of winter. Most were caught within days. Two Norwegian pilots, Per Bergsland and Jens Miller, reached neutral Sweden by ship within days. Dutch pilot Bram van der Stok made it to Spain, traveling by train, bicycle, and on foot across the entire breadth of Nazi Europe. 3 men out of the 76 who crawled into that night made it to safety. But more than 600 had risked everything to make the escape possible. Hitler wanted the recaptured men killed. The Gestapo hunted them across Germany and Poland, pulling them from holding cells and taking them to roadsides, where they were shot in pairs and small groups under the pretense of being returned to camp. In the end, 50 were selected and murdered, a direct violation of the Geneva Convention. Every officer who gave the order knew exactly what they were doing. Roger Bushell, the man who had conceived and led the entire operation, was among the 50. After the war, the Allies hunted the killers. 13 Gestapo officers were tracked down, tried, and executed for the murders. And the escape itself, the one that cost so much, it worked. The manhunt pulled in police, soldiers, Gestapo agents, border guards, and local authorities across Nazi Germany. Exactly the kind of disruption Bushell had wanted. Roger Bushell had said from the beginning that the goal was not just to escape, it was to cause maximum disruption, to make the enemy burn time and men chasing shadows. 76 crawled into the night. Only 3 truly got free. 50 were murdered on the side of roads by the men who lost, and the 600 who built the tunnels, forged the papers, sewed the clothes, dispersed the sand. They did all of it knowing what the odds were. That is what defiance looks like when there are no good options left.